back to another Wheel of Time video. This video is going to be a bit of an experiment. I mean, I've done this sort of thing before, but basically I asked members of my Discord server to pitch me what they'd most want to see in future Wheel of Time seasons. I know we're all grieving, but hey, whatever. I haven't read any of these answers yet, so I'm going to be reacting to them live. And if there happens to be anybody from a streaming service watching, maybe this will convince you that the show has way too much potential to let go. There's so much story left. There's so much good, juicy stuff. But I mean, I don't know what people's ideas are, but I have read the book, so I know. I will also say, obviously there's going to be spoilers in this video because we are talking beyond the show, what is thus far aired. Thus far. Fingers crossed. But I don't know quite how far the spoilers go because, like I said, I haven't read these ideas yet, and I don't know what words are going to come out of my mouth. So, future me is going to come and tell you the spoilers now. I probably could have guessed that the spoilers go all the way to the end of the series. I probably should have just said that at the beginning, because, I mean, given the topic of this video, that's how far they would go. But yeah, if you have not finished the entire series of books of the Wheel of Time, not a safe video. Alright? Listen to whatever she said, and let's get into it.
Let's be nerdy with Lezbi Nerdy. Let's be nerdy with Lezbi Nerdy.
Okay, the first one here we've got is from the Dark One, but it's not all caps, so it's Alex. This one's from Alex. Lyanna training Egwene in the ways of being an Amyrlin. She's watched Swan get where she was. Now, I'm going to tell you, Jen, if you watched my Swan therapy video, what did I call those videos? Basically, when I talked with Jen after the season finale, she sold me on this a bit more, because I was a little, quite sad about watching, or not getting to see Swan's post-stilling arc. So, you know, that's a whole thing. And she did sell me on the Lyanna doing it, thing, which I think would be cool. And Lyanna in the show was a queen and a diva. She was amazing. So it would have been cool to see. However, someone in the comments gave an idea that I like better, and I think it works. I'm already jumping to the end. I'm just realizing for spoilers, but it worked so well with where this character's eventual arc goes, and Varen doing it. They left Varen in the tower in the show for season 3. In the books, during book 4, which is most of season 3. Season 3 is mostly book 4. Varen is in the Two Rivers, so Varen is with Perrin, but they left Varen in the tower, and I think that having Varen be the one to be in Saladar with Egwene would work really well, given how Varen's story ends. And it's such a weird thing. Even though I just said spoilers, I don't want to give it away because it's so good. But having her have a deeper relationship with Egwene, imagine the emotional hit of that. Like, if you know, you know. And yeah, I don't know. I really like the idea of Varen doing it. It's not that I like Lyanna. I do. She's just, there are other characters I think that would work better, and Varen is definitely one. And I think, I now, the minute the person said that in the comments, my brain just lit up, and so I desperately want it now. See, it's Alex again, but now it's all caps, so now it's definitely the Dark One, stating the obvious that adversary wanted to see, removing the taint from the one power and sending the chosen fleeing. The cleansing would have been amazing, and I really hope that they do my favorite part of the cleansing, which is that Moggy shows up already okay, I've been sent in to fight. She looks around and goes, no. She just sits it out, which is amazing. But just the visuals of all of that, the way you've got all of these linked Ashaman and Aes Sedai, and the way they visualize the power in the show is so cool. So that would have been really interesting. And seeing the lattice work, with the way that they have Shadar Logoth and Mashadar, I don't know, just the visuals of it would have been very, very cool. So yes, this is definitely something that I wanted to see. The cleansing of the taint. I wonder what they would have called, in the show, they used words like corruption. Would they have ever, did they ever say the word taint in the show? I don't know if they ever did. One here from Sage. Elaine and Nynaeve shenanigans. Yes. I mean, we got some of that in the Tenchiko storyline, but there's so much more that can be told. And they probably are my favorite odd couple in the books. And their friendship is one that I appreciate more and more on rereads. And I do admit I filter it a bit, because Robert Jordan had some interesting ideas about female friendships. And so, but I do really like it. And I think it would have been so, especially with Zoe and Kira, like they had good chemistry on the show. And I think it would have really, really worked very well. Oh, Demise Wells. Come on. Yes. Right? You wanted to see Demise Wells. You want, like, that. Oh, gosh, even as I'm saying it now, though, part of me doesn't want to see it. There's a meat grinder. There is a humans being put through a meat grinder in Demise Wells. I would have been watching like that, like, oh, sorry, look where my hands are. But I would have been covering my eyes while watching that, but it would have been dark. And seeing, like, what Rand went through that, the box and the torture and that would have been good. Would have been dark and depressing, but it would have been good. Oh my gosh. And yes, another vote for the cleansing of Saidin. Yes. So many stories to tell. So many. One from Matrick. Give me Val and Luca and the circus. Now, I'm pretty sure, based on something Min says in season 1, that there was always plans to bring us the circus, right? There was something about carnivals or something. I'm very curious as to what the show would have done with that, or could do with that. Again, if you're watching, there's a circus in it. There's a circus with Shredded and, like, other things. You could do all kinds of cool. Shredded are just elephants. But anyway, you could do all sorts of cool things with that. I wonder what vibe they would have done and who they would have gotten. In my brain, and this must come from somewhere, I don't know, but in my brain, when I think of Val and Luca now, I think Nathan Fillion. And he doesn't get as creepy, like as he does in the books. So I like him. I like, another one of those things where I'm just like, yeah, I'm just going to not have him do the creepy stuff. And then I can enjoy his character. But yes. Yeah, I would have liked that. Sorry, just, I had further thoughts on this. Like, it's not just the circus. Like, there's espionage stories and, like, secret Seanchan hidden amongst them. And teaching people the channel that the circus comes back, like it goes away and comes back. That would be a very interesting through line to have, and it would add, like, the way Tenchiko looked so different from everywhere else, added flavor and made the world feel deeper and more real in the show. The circus would do the same thing. It's another exotic, for lack of a better term, another exotic locale. All right, another one from Sage here. Perrin meeting the in-laws would have been amazing if they didn't shut that door with season 3. Okay. Perrin meeting his in-laws in the books, for me, that's not one of my favorites storylines. However, I think it would have been more interesting in the show because they did. I don't think they shut that door. I think they made the door more interesting, making Dira. That's Fail's mother's name in the books. So I don't know what name they would give her, but making her a dark friend who killed apparently Fail's brother, that adds more drama and more conflict. It would have been more interesting. Like, it would not have been the story we got in the books, which, again, it's fine. In the books, I like Dira well enough. Obviously, I like Davram. Everybody likes Davram. But it's not a storyline that when we get to, I'm like, ooh, yay, Dira and Dav. Like, I don't get excited that they're coming. I just, oh yeah, they're here. That's my feeling when they're there. Whereas in the books or in the show, there would have been this sense of impending doom. I don't know how many people know that Dira was a dark friend. Did Fail tell? She told her brother. Did she tell her father? Does Davram know? If they're going to meet, like, Perrin knows and Fail know. But does anybody in Saldea know? I don't know. I don't know what people know. And I could see, like, this sense of impending doom when it's happening. And, like, Fail knowing that maybe Davram doesn't know and she's still in hiding as a dark friend. I don't know. I think the show set it up to be more interesting. Again, it would not have been the same. Dira would not have been like the cool lady who gives bad marriage advice, but I don't know. It's a cool story that I would have liked to see. So yes, there's still... I don't think they shut the door. I think they just heightened it. Okay, one here from Typewriter Tornado Bug. Oh, that's a cute name. Typewriter Tornado Bug. I always loved seeing Rand and Asmodean interact, pointing out the differences between these kids from the middle of the nowhere and these competent badasses. Yeah, okay, just sorry, I saw the next word is, so I'm going to stop and talk about this. Asmodean, it might be my second favorite Forsaken. The show has changed things, because Lanfear is top, which in the books, Lanfear, I did not care about Lanfear. But the show has changed my perspective on her, because she was so good in the show. Oh my gosh. In the books, it's Maggedian and then maybe Asmodean. And it might just be because they're the ones, aside from Lanfear, whose personality we see the most. Like, we actually spend time with them as people. And Asmodean is an interesting character, and him and Rand interacting, I think that would be very interesting to see, especially the perspective of the show. Because in the books... I'm trying to think if we're ever in Asmodean's head. I think maybe once or twice. But the most of the time we are seeing Asmodean, it's through Rand's eyes, right? So, and Rand doesn't trust him. And Rand, basically, there's a bit of a fight, a push-pull with Rand where he has to trust him because Asmodean is his teacher. But he knows who Asmodean is, so he doesn't trust him. It would be very interesting to see this from the show's perspective, because the show is, by definition, it's third person. Like, they can try and take us in to someone's perspective, but you can't be in somebody's head in the show. You just can't. So I think it would be really interesting to see their interactions from the outside, and to see, Asmodean, Jason Datil just acting like a normal person, and then Rand reacting with like vitriol. Yes, that would be that's an interaction that I desperately would love. Plus, there would be options and opportunities for more music, because I love my music. That's a big thing for me in the show. Okay, the next part, Brigitte. Yes, all of her becoming Elaine's warder. More about the culture with warders. Yes, 100% yes. Brigitte, that is. Oh my gosh, it's a gimme, right? Like, she's such an awesome, badass woman. And, if we were to get picked up by another service, that would be a perfect thing to bring in and be like, yes, this is the insert new streaming service here. This is what we've added to the show. Like, this second or whatever, like this other main character now who is amazing and badass. And it would feel... I don't know, it's just, yes, it's so good. Brigitte is amazing. I love Brigitte, we all do. Soul Brights. We never got the wolf dream. Yeah, no, it's true, we never did. Never really did. I still don't know how they would do it. I still have no... Because the wolf dream is like Hopper sending thoughts in the dream world, in the wolf dream, to Perrin. And I think I've mentioned this on my channel, but I basically had to come to terms with the fact that in the show, there was no way the show was going to be able to do the wolf thing the way it reads in my mind, because so much of it is poetry. Like, it's taking something visual and translating it into incredibly poetic language. And the show has basically had to take that incredibly poetic language and turn it back into visuals. And I said this a million times, I'm not a visual person. The poetic language is going to hit me way harder than, the visuals. So, yeah, but I don't know how they would have done it in the show. There's been a couple of suggestions that, what was it? That Elias would be the voice of... there was a new suggestion that came out of the show. Would be the voice of... Uno, I heard, would be the voice of the wolf or something. I don't know. There's a couple of ways that they could have done it. That would have been very cool. And yes, Perrin got the worst of the cliffhangers, yes, after an otherwise really great featured episode. Yeah, he's caught by the White Cloaks now. That's very, very different from the way that played out in the books. In the books, basically, the White Cloaks do not do shit during the Battle of the Two Rivers, and so the Two Rivers people are like, no, you have to go. And yeah, a lot of people say Perrin's story falls off in quality at that point in the books, because he kind of that's like his character arc peaks, and it's book 4. And as a book fan, this is one of those things that I know. The series was originally planned as a 6-book series. I don't know exactly at what point Robert Jordan was given the go-ahead to just write as much as he wanted, but I think still in book 4, there was like, okay, we're going 6 books. And so his Perrin's story peaks there, and then they had to walk him back in order for his story to continue, because you can't have somebody like, I have achieved enlightenment in book 4, and now there's 10 more books, and I'm just going to be sitting here enlightened. Like, that's boring, right? So they had to walk him back, and that felt frustrating when you were reading it. I wonder if they were slow rolling his arc in order to basically counteract that. Because of all the characters, to be perfectly, like, I'm going to be as honest as I can be here, I feel like he got probably the most shortchanged in the show. Like, I did not feel, of our mains, like our Nynaeves, Elaine's, Rand, Matt, all of them, I feel like I know Perrin the least, which is understandable. In the books, the reason that I feel like I know Perrin as much as I do is because he's a thinker. And we're in his head. He's thinking all the time. He's thinking lots of things constantly. So blah, blah, blah. Like, I know his thought process. But he's not talking very much. And if you were filming him, like, if you literally were filming Perrin in the, shot by shot, things that were in the books, you would not know him very well. Because a lot of times he's just sitting there thinking, and then he'll say like 8 words, and then think for like 16 pages, and then say another 5 words, and then think for, like, so he's not talking very much. So I get, he's a very, very hard character to translate. I understand why they did some of the things that they did with him to externalize his internal life. He's a character that I definitely think needs more time he needs to cook. He needs to cook a little bit more. Fudgy Vamp. Sorry, hedonism bots. Yeah, Grendel's hidden pals. Grendel, Justin, General. Grendel and Semirog. There were the 2 other female Forsaken that were mentioned. Were there any other, like, they didn't actually mention Asmodean in the show, but we saw his idol, so I'm pretty sure they always had plans for him, but yeah. Did they mention Asmodean? I can't remember. But Grendel would have been amazing in the show. She's got a lot of personality. I wonder, like, in the books, Grendel is not one of my favorites. Grendel is, though, incredibly competent and smart, and that would have been very cool to see her machinations in the show. And they might have upped, like, what they did with Lanfear. The reason I think Grendel isn't one of my favorites in the show is that basically her main antagonists are other Forsaken or Rand. And so it's just like, her conflicts are not my favorite conflicts to watch. But I think it would have been fascinating to watch in the show. It would have been, her palace, what she does to people. The tone they would have had to strike. I'm very curious how they would have done that, or how they could do that. Again, we could still go. And I did hope we would get to see actual Seanchan, yeah. Like a scene of Tuan in Sayandar. I don't know how to say it. Sayandar? Shandar? Like Seanchan, that's got that sort of Gaelic, the E slenderizes the S thing going on there. Is it the same with Shyandar? Shyandar. That sounds right. Shyandar. There we go. Yeah, that would have been cool to see. Because, like, if they are this extra, if they bring all of that pomp and circumstance with them across the Aerith Ocean, imagine what it's like over there. Like, whoa. I sent a ghost here. I really needed the Nynaeve and Moggy showdown. Yeah. I mean, I have a whole video where I'm breaking down, like, basically needed therapy after the way that didn't happen at the end of season 3. And I would love to see the dynamics of her being captive of Nynaeve, okay, yeah, and Elaine and the introduction into the mix of Birgitte. Yeah, and the introduction into the mix of Birgitte. Okay, I'm going to stop here for a second. The dynamics of her being a captive of Nynaeve and Elaine, yes. And again, a lot of... Okay, I'm going to go on a rant here about the books here, but one of the things I've said about Nynaeve is that she is a character who the truth of who she is somewhere in between what she says about herself and what she does. Like she's a person much like Matt who lies to herself about who she is. And a lot of, I think, the anxiety and stress and depression and just like all around orneriness of her at times is a conflict between who she is internally and her internal morals and what she has to do. And I've heard people discuss this. Like, she keeps Moggy as a prisoner of war, as a slave, basically, as a war crime. And I think that I think this is canon. Like, I don't think I'm making this up. Well, I know I'm not making it up. Nynaeve hates this. Like, she absolutely hates it. Putting on the bracelet in book 2 for her was one of the most horrifying things. She put it on, and the plan was to put it on Elaine, and she put the collar on Elaine, and she refused because it was disgusting to her, and she hated the way that felt. And the fact that she had to keep wearing that bracelet for the entire time that Magedian was prisoner, and eventually she doesn't want to wear it, and it ends up on Egwene so much because Nynaeve hates it. Like, she absolutely hates that she has done this, and that she is as evil as she knows Moggy is. The fact that she is keeping a human being in that position, I just think that is a dynamic that the show could have played with a lot, and it could have been so fun. It could still be so fun again. I love it. Okay, yes, and the introduction, of course, of Birgitte, 100%. I like the Nynaeve Elaine of it all. Like, I put them beside each other on purpose on my wall here because I just love their friendship. That is amazing. But the trio of Nynaeve, Birgitte, and Elaine, they all play off of each other really well, and they are a really fun bunch to follow. And yeah, 100%. Okay, that group of 4. Okay, yeah, with Magedian. And that branch of storylines were some of my favorite parts of the whole books. And any setting would work, whether it was involved with a circus or in Saladar. That's true, yeah. If you don't want to do a circus, Apple TV, sorry, whatever, we could always just have them in a village in Saladar. That is also true. The characters and character development they all went through was fascinating as they ebbed and flowed with victory, guilt, and deceptions. Everything. I agree with pretty much everything in this comic, yes. Alyssa of the Brown Aja here. Definitely the box and Dumai's wells, yeah. Especially considering Yasha has been wanting to do the box since day one, because Yasha read the entire series. And of course, as an actor, oh my god, as an actor, I can't imagine reading the books and seeing what happens to Rand in book 6. Oh my god, you would want to sink your teeth into that so bad. So yes, 100%. And number 1, Egwene as Amyrlin and seeing her yes. Just Egwene, seeing her navigate through the Rebel Tower. Egwene's arc is also really, really good. Of course, want to see her do all of that political maneuvering after her training with the Wise Ones. That would have been so good. I wonder if would they have jumped book 5 and 6? Would they have merged them? Because they could have I could see that. I'm sorry, I'm just in my brain trying to figure out, because obviously we have to condense it a lot, right, in order to keep the story moving, and we all know there's a point where it just sort of gets stuck in the mud, right? So, although 5 and 6 are not those points. Well, some people argue 6, but 6 gets really good at the end, but it sort of drags for, but there's some amazing things that happen. Anyway, if we want the circus, then we kind of, Circus and Saladar in one season, that's a lot. We could do it, though. We could be building up, no, because Swan's not there. Ooh, I forgot. Sorry. Sorry, my brain was working really, really fast there, and then for a second, I just hit a wall because I remembered we can't have Swan in there. Okay. Anyway, all right, there's that. I won't go off on that whole tangent in my brain. Okay, Egwene is Amyrlin. Nynaeve versus Moggy, yes. Wolf Dreams, yes. The Black Tower and the Ashaman. That would have been so, especially, with what ends up happening with the evil grossness that happens in the Black Tower. Yes. That could have been so good. That could have been so good. Sorry, as I'm saying this, if we have, this is just me, twisting things in my brain, because the Black Tower, given with the madness and the taint and all of it, I would almost want to push the cleansing back a little bit further to let the madness among these Asha'man grow, to be, sorry. The things that are happening in my brain right now. But the things that they could do with that in the show, just to up the tension. Because, again, you kind of have to simplify things a bit. In the books, there is, like, even after the cleansing, if you were mad before, or any progression of the taint madness that had happened still existed. That could get a little complicated for the show, because they'd be like, oh, you fixed it. Why are they still acting crazy? Whatever. But you could push the cleansing back a bit further and have them still be, okay, sorry. I like that idea that I just came up with. I don't know. But Asmodean, yes, 100%. Rand's relationship with the maidens. Yeah. Oh, let women fight, Rand. 100%. The Redstone doorway, yes. I know there was discussion that the show didn't plan to actually do the Redstone doorway with Moiraine, especially with the way the end, season 3, the end of it played out, with the conflict there. I still think that they could do it, especially given the fact that we know that there are 2 stone doorways. One of them is in the tower, the other one's in Tanjigo, apparently. So I still think that they could do it, very much so. And the cleansing of Saidin, there's so much. Yeah, I have to think of more. There's so many stories here. The cleansing has come up a lot, though. Blair says, Nynaeve healing madness. Yes! That moment is, it's peak Nynaeve. It is absolutely peak Nynaeve. And it's another one of those reasons, I don't know that it ever came up in my discussions in that Swan therapy video, but it's another one of those reasons that I really was sad for the loss of Swan in the show, is because, she heals Lyanna. That is going to be emotional, but Lyanna is not a character that we know as much. Her healing of Swan is a beautiful moment, and the way that Swan reacts, and she brings Nynaeve something super tea at the end, like, it's beautiful, and I love that moment. I absolutely love it. I hear even her healing Logain. I know that that's actually the moment. Like, the real moment is her healing Logain. That's not the emotional beat for me. I don't even even people who really love Logain, I don't think you love him by this point in the books. He's like a tangential character. I do not love Logain. I'm just going to say this in the show, they've done interesting things with him, and maybe they wouldn't have him be like a war criminal by the end, because Logain does some shady shit in the books that Alana does it too, and gets raked over the coals and hated by the fandom, deservedly so. And then Logain does the exact same thing to multiple women and does it worse later, and everybody's like, but no, he's cool, and it pisses me off. Anyway, but the emotional beat of Nynaeve healing Stilling, for me, lands when she heals Swan and Lyanna. Specifically, though, Swan, because Swan is the character that I know and care about, and that's the one that I think of. So, yeah. Okay. Matt becoming, the land fighting Damodred during the last battle. I don't think that Damodred was going to be in the show. So which male Forsaken would have made it to the last battle? So of the male Forsaken that they've introduced, none of them feel competent enough to have made it. Robin? Ishii, obviously. Ooh, I guess Ishii. Probably would have been Ishii. I could see them having Ishii last. All the way through. Like, Moradin. Oh, but no, it can't be Lan fighting Ishii. That doesn't make any sense. Samael, obviously not. Who else? Have they... Did they mention... none of the Forsaken that the show introduced, none of the male Forsaken makes sense. I guess they could introduce Damodred? Or Demandred? So Damodred would be Moraine's family last name. Huh. I don't know. Okay. Matt becoming the battlefield commander he is at the end. Yes, definitely. We need to see Matt kicking some ass. 100%. 100%. Like, the battles, the fight scenes, the fight choreography, like, the quarterstaff battle that we saw was amazing. They could do so much with Matt. So good. Nynaeve traveling through the borderlands, assembling the army for land. Yes. Ugh. And Rand's descent into madness. I've talked about this before in a video, but I really could not wait to see this in the show, because especially the first time I read it through, I did not notice what was happening with Rand, because you're in his perspective and he doesn't necessarily realize that he's going mad. When, like, on rereads, it was like, oh my gosh, yeah, he's just, like, laughing out of nowhere, humming to himself, getting out, because he's going mad. But when you're not in his perspective, again, because of the third-person nature of television, we are not in his head, this would have been amazing to see. And Alyssa the Brown Azure response, yes. Oh, yes, that reminds me of another one I forgot. Rand and Lou's Theron's, yes! Dynamic once he starts manifesting in his head. I wonder if that's what they were going for. There's like a scene in the finale of season 3 where Rand sees some sort of apparition later, and he just sees it and then it's gone. And I'm wondering if they were like trying to introduce Luz in that moment. Because yeah, that would, I 100% want to see that. Like, that would have been so cool. Sorry. This one's a response to another one, and it's not a serious one, but it says Nynaeve healing Egwene from the compulsion Gawyn used on her. Yes. Okay, I'm curious to see what the show's plan is with Gawyn, because he is, I hate Gawyn. I am not unique in this. I hate him so much, and Egwene loving him, just, I wanted to crawl into the book and just shake her, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Open your eyes. He's a moron. He is not worthy of you. So, I'm curious to know if the show could have changed my opinion on that and made me actually like Egwene and Gawyn. I don't know. Okay, Blair actually responded to this. It got interesting. So, yeah, and here I thought Timandre did that in a rather permanent manner. Yes, he definitely did heal that compulsion. But in all seriousness, this is what I was saying. I would like to see how Gawyn's character is interpreted on screen before deciding whether or not I dislike that relationship as much in the show as I do in the books. Exactly. I do not know what the show would have done. I know in the show I don't want to say, because I don't mean it in this way, but I was just like wanting to come to Galad's defense in the show. Because in the show, Galad, to me, just comes across as a bit of like a pretentious, sort of self-aggrandizing douche, which I probably saw him that way the first time I read the books. But on subsequent rereads, I do not. Like, I am a Galad defender. I like him. And I think he has one of, like, there's certain, I guess, B or C list characters that have these amazing arcs, and Galad is one of them. And I think his story starts from a place that I know I didn't actually think was where it started. In, like, you know, just basically with his parents, his mom just abandoning him, and being the older brother that was hated for no fucking reason. Like, they hated him because he was, sorry, it just really bothers me the way that, Elaine talks about Galad. But that's a whole thing. Like, I'm curious to know how the show would go with Galad and Gawyn, just because they are characters. Galad is a character who has a stealth arc. Like, it's happening in the background, and if you don't focus on it, you don't see it, right? And Gawyn, well, Gawyn's just Gawyn, and we all hate Gawyn. So I'm very curious to know what the show would do with them. So this prompted a lot of conversation. So Alyssa says, I was also looking forward to Gawyn, weirdly, and see if I like show Gawyn. Yeah, I'm really curious, because the show made me like Alana. And Alana is a character in the books that, like, literally goes from being a character who I do not pay any attention to. Like, she's one of those background characters who has a name, and I recognize her name, so I'm like, okay, I'm just tracking where she is, but I don't know anything about her personality, to, like, she literally goes from that to, I hate you with, like, every fiber of my being. That's her storyline in the books. It's like, who are you? I hate you. Whereas in the show, it's like, I love you, and I'm so scared because I know at a certain point, if the show goes the way of the books, you're going to do something horrific. And the show making me like Alana and like her as much as I do. Like, I love her. I'm really curious as to what they could have done with Gawyn. There was an interview with the actor where he did a WoT deep dive research and found out rather quickly, yes, that he's the most hated character. You don't even have to do a deep dive into that. It's pretty on the surface there. And yeah, he decided to roll with it. Of course. What would you do? Of course. Of course. We got the man, 1086. The Stone of Tyr. Yes, and Kalendor. The Sword and the Stone. Yes, it felt like they were setting that up to be a major plot line next season. They were 100% setting that up. And I love the idea of them changing the order of that too. Again, knowing that RJ was planning a six book series, having him pull the sword out of the stone, basically in book 3, puts that right at the midpoint. So switching the order actually kind of makes sense. If, we're thinking of a 7 or 8 season series, then having the sword and the stone be in the middle. Plus, taking Tyr with the army that he has brought back from the Aiel Waste makes sense. I guess we would be, I don't know, they could be combining Cairhien and Tyr in that way. Although it definitely was Cairhien who, with the tree. They definitely, like, that is canon in the show. The Cairhien and the tree. So if you did Tyr, it'd be a bit different, because you can't really have the animosity between the Aiel and the Tyrants the way you do the Aiel and the Cairhien. But it still works, and I would have that is such a good story. So yes, we can also get Matt with some fireworks. Come on, we gotta get Matt with some fireworks. Kalmia here. I really want to see Fires of Heaven, the showdown between Moiraine and Lanfear. Yes, I mean, we already had a showdown at the end of season 3, but it's not the Fires of Heaven one, especially since they moved the other stone doorway to the tower. 100%. We'll definitely want to see that. And I'm still, I'm hoping that was the plan. I don't know, but I'm hoping that is the plan for what's going to happen there, because I think it's an important part of various characters' arcs, like Matt, basically. It's part of his arc to have Moiraine go through the doorway. But I'm really curious as to how they could have done it. And it's one of those things where it's a change that I don't know that it matters, but I'm curious as to how the pieces would work together to get Moiraine and Lanfear where they need to be for that to happen. I want to see it. I really, really want to see it. Sorry, there was more to this comment. Okay. It says, unless they change the location of one of the doorways again, so they could do that, or they could have like another doorway, I suppose. But I like the idea, just because I like the theory crafting, I like the idea of it still being in the tower in Tanchico and just us having to figure out how we get everybody where they need to be for things to happen. I like, that's one of the things about the show that I really, really enjoyed as somebody who loves these books as much as I do, is them setting things up and doing it differently. And then in my brain having to go, okay, I see that they set this up to, we're going there. How are we going to move the pieces? Like, trying to guess, basically. It was at like 60-75% of the fun of being a fan of the show. Literally any steading. They talked about the steading so much. I mean, they didn't talk about it so much, but they brought it up significant times. So I feel like we need to see a steading. Yes. Elaine realizing that Winter's Heart somewhere, I think. Her twins are the children and grandchildren of the two most recent daughters. Her twins are the children and grandchildren of the two most recent daughter's heir, unless that was intentional on her part. Then not so much realization, I guess. Her children, and Elaine realizing that her twins are the children, yes, and grandchildren of the two most recent daughter heirs. I mean, yeah. They are. Okay, not so much a realization, I suppose. But I mean, yes, they are. I'm not sure why that's a thing that... Okay. And then Nynaeve doing literally anything, channeling now that her block is broken. Yes. I mean, they've done that, so we absolutely have to. And I obviously want to see that. I still kind of wish that we'd spend a little more time with her blocked and channeling through the block. Like, I wish they made her block so complete that I guess we couldn't do it. Although, no, they showed her channeling at least once in season 2. Granted, it resulted in Rima getting caught and her warder being killed, so, but there was something, like, they don't need to do it as often as in the books, because in the books, her block basically stops feeling like a block, right? Like, it's a block to her. It's really frustrating for her, because she can't channel at will, but whenever there's a desperate situation, it comes. The ability to channel comes. So you never are scared that Nynaeve's not going to come through, right? But in the show, you are. But I think, I personally think that the confrontation with Moggy would have been amazing if she, like, it's still going to be amazing if we get there. It would still be amazing, but I think it could have been more amazing if she was still blocked and channeled through it. Like, you could hear Rima's voice in her head, like, just do it. Don't have to try, just do. Yoda's voice. Anyway, but that having been said, we have to go with what the show canon is. She is not blocked. So, yes, her power unleashed. Mwah. All right, another one here from Kalmia. Also, to be honest, and more in line with the intent of this channel, there was a bit of a Gawyn punching match happening prior to this. I want to see how they work out the plot points they've already introduced, because I can't think of a way to pitch a resolution. Like Perrin being taken by the White Cloaks. Okay. I mean, the solution that happened in the books, like I said, can't really happen in the show, because the White Cloaks they fucked everything up, but then they kind of helped. They tried to fight them off. Whereas in the books, the way it worked out is Perrin basically said, if you help us, then I will go with you. And then the White Cloaks came to help, came to the Two Rivers before the battle, and then they just sat there and did nothing. So Perrin was like, no, I said, if you help, good God, no. And so they sent them away. So how would we resolve this? My thought, actually, is that they were setting up Dane, basically to have a come to Jesus. Like, he was not a monster like he is in the books, like he becomes. I mean, he always was unpleasant, and he's a White Cloak, obviously, so he's already fucky, but he becomes worse and worse. So I think there could have been some sort of redemption for Dane that could have resulted in Perrin's release. That's my thought. But okay. I mean, I can imagine something like him being rescued by Fael. That is also true. Ooh. Oh, sorry. Rescued by Fael would work really well because it would help mirror later when Fael has to be rescued by him. Because one of the things about Fael, like, one of the reasons I think that storyline feels so much like a slog on a reread is that nothing Fael does works. And it's not like Fael is not passive. While she is captive, she is trying, and she is, and that is reality, right? Sometimes you try your best and do everything you can, and it doesn't have any impact. So it's not that isn't realistic, but it's very frustrating to read as a story. It's just like we're watching her get all these alliances together and make all these plans and blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't do anything. Perrin has to come in and smash, and that fixes the situation. So spending all that time with Fael feels like a waste because it is ineffective. But I think they wouldn't drag it out for as long as it was in the books, because it's dragged out for so long. But if she rescues Perrin first and then he rescues her later, it somehow would like alleviate some of that. Again, it's not that like his parent or Fael. She is incredibly competent while she is captive. It's just she is hampered by the events of the story and the way the plot has to work. Like, it's not going to work. So I'm going to take back what I said about Dane. I like this idea of her being her being his rescuer. But I think the writers could make it more interesting if, again, Fires of Heaven, Moraine pushes Lanfear through the doorway into the tower. Okay, we're going into another thing. How the heck Did they get there? Yes, that's what I was saying. Or to that particular room. That's what I was saying. Like, the thinking how they work the pieces, how they put everybody in position is so interesting. So do it. Do it for me so I can have the puzzle in my brain again. Please, please, please. If you saw earlier on, there was somebody with a bright pink name. Bright pink names means that, in my server, means that you have not finished the series. And so people start putting spoiler warnings because this fandom, we like to protect our first-time readers. Anyway, Lord of Chaos, the Knife of Dreams. I would love to see Taim, yes. Taim equals Demand Dread. I'm going to keep making that mistake. Taim equals Demand Dread. That, we now know, based on Robert Jordan's notes, was the original plan. And there are definitely seeds to that laid in the story. Ooh, I wonder if that's why he hasn't been named. Because that could definitely work, as was intended from the start. The best scenes, Demandred at Shaiel Ghul, yes, in Lord of Chaos, and the epilogue in Knife of Dreams. Taim Damodred, let the Lord of Chaos rule while the Ashaman laughs surrounding Pavara. Yeah. That would be an excellent way to do it in the story. And, you know, it could be a way to almost troll the book fans who, you know, aren't, I guess, watching this video. But, like, have it be, like, set up and we would think, oh, they're doing what they do in the show. And then, no, they actually did to Mandred. That's what basically people are tying Mandred. I've never known how to pronounce that. Just typed it out. Oh, I like that. Yeah, I really like that. And then we could also still have the Land versus Demandred at the last battle. So yes, also Knife of Dreams. Semirog wiping out the Seanchan royal family. Just Semirog in general. Semirog is, like I say, my favorite, more Forsaken is Moggy in the books to follow. Probably my favorite Forsaken, just like as an evil character, is Semirog. She's the only Forsaken, after a while, that is scary. Like, she's the only one who actually does something that, when I read the books, jump scared me. And I can't imagine... Oh, like, I'm terrified of what they could do with her in the show. Absolutely terrified. But also would want to see it. Like, that scene with Moggy basically collapsing someone's face with her thumbs. Just think that... But so much worse. Oh! Think what you could do with Semirog. Oh my gosh. Eris here. Towers of Midnight. Nynaeve's testing, yes. And they're telling the Isidia to get wrecked. Then Samma Nasei appearing like the cannibals they are. The Samna Nasei? The Samna Nasei? I'm going to Google this because I'm not quite sure what that is. Okay. I didn't say it, but I will say I had two options for what this could be in my brain. It is one of the options that it could be. One of them was going to be Shara. I was like, is it Shara or the Aiel? It's the Aiel. It's the Aiel channelers that get sent into the Blight. That. Yeah. Would they have done that in the show? God, I hope they would. Because it is dark. It is dark. The Aiel male channelers who go into the Blight to they are trying to, I don't know, the YouTube algorithm gets mad sometimes. They are doing it in order to end their suffering in an honorable way, but then they get turned. And it is dark. It is dark. That would have been really dark to have that. And, oh my gosh. Imagine things they could do with it in the show. Imagine if earlier on they actually introduced us to an Aiel male channeler. Like in, next season, season 4, they introduce us to an Aiel male channeler and we like him, but then he goes off and they explain that tradition. And it's like, we think that's the end of it, right? We think that that's it. And then at the very end, he comes back, turned. There is so much juice in this show! Somebody needs to pick it up and squeeze that juice out and give it to us, please! Okay, sorry, next one here. Path of Daggers, where's my mouse? There it is. A Cup of Sleep. Oh, when Rand poisons Mor, who's gone mad, while Taim watches. That was such an underrated scene. Yeah. That is a heartbreaking scene. And again, you could play that up, especially, like, you could play up the Black Tower so much in the show. with the madness and everything. It's just such a, oh, yes. Again, the juice that this show has. Eris here, Towers of Midnight. I imagine that they would be fast-tracking that plot line. Perrin taken by, okay. And having Grendel send Slayer and some shadowspawn to attack the White Cloaks. So I'm going to go up and see what this is in response to. It's Perrin, Perrin being taken by the White Cloaks. I'm sure they can imagine something simple like having, okay, so this is about Perrin being taken by the White Cloaks. Okay. I imagine that they would be fast-tracking that plotline, like having Grendel send Slayer and some shadowspawn to attack the White Cloaks to kill Perrin, and Galad, or perhaps Dane is in this timeline making peace with Perrin, right? Fael and co come in with the assist, and Elias communicating for Perrin, right? End up helping the White Cloaks, etc. I'm thinking Dane was the intended leader of the White Cloaks, at least for the time being, not Galad, yeah, okay? And that maybe Galad could do it later. Galad could get recruited during this time as well, okay? He and Perrin have a much more interesting dynamic than Galad, that is very true. Could possibly do the scene where he kills Bayar, who's about to shank Perrin, as in the books. All of that is a very good way to do it. Yeah, all of that is a very good way to do it. Hey, Kalmia here, again. I wonder if the show was going to delay the Shadow Rising, Fael and Perrin getting married, and replace, I forget when, but somewhere in the last few books, their anniversary date with a wedding. Yeah, 100%. I can see them delaying it. We don't even... Although it'd be nice to have at least one wedding in the show. Whose wedding do I most want? Their wedding makes me cry, so... them. But also, I've seen their wedding. You know whose wedding I want to see is Lan and Nynaeve. Because their wedding happens off page in the book. Anyway, okay. The Dark One. Mat versus the Golem. The Golem. There are other shadowspawn. Sorry, I haven't even read the rest of this. There are other shadowspawn that we need to see. And not all, okay, we don't necessarily... The Drakkar would be cool. I think the Golem are a 100% must. One, because you could just hire a dude, right? You don't need to actually, he could just look like a dude, and then you could put special effects when he's doing certain things. But most of the time, he's just a dude. That saves you money. Until, you're doing a fight scene, and he's all gooey and snaky. But, yes, the Golem would be so fucking cool. The other ones I think that would be good for the show, but might be hard, the Darkhounds. Only because they are a good counterpoint to the wolves, right? So we got the good wolves and the bad wolves. Let's see, what other ones do we've got? The Golem, Drakkar, Trollocs, Myrddraal, the Worms, and whatever, I can't remember the name, but the actual dragon, not Rand, but an actual dragon. I don't think we need those. They could, if we ever go back into the Blight, we could make more creepy creatures, because I know they had, all sorts of, all the shit that happened in season 1. It's not fair to the show at all. But I can't remember other shadowspawn. I think there were others, but those are the ones that I remember. But the Golem, 100%. And Mat v. the Golem is something that we absolutely, that would have been, I want that so bad. I want that so bad. It proves Matt's ability, yes, to make a battle plan without us having read about it in his head like all the previous times. That is true, because that's how that one just happens, and we didn't see the build, we didn't see how it was going to work. So that was the difference. I think that was one of those Robert Jordan v. Brandon Sanderson thing. Brandon Sanderson had a different style, and I think the way that the Mat v. Golem fight plays out is a sign, or is indicative of their difference in styles. But it just also works really, really well. The way it is written, you were like the Golem, unaware that it was all an elaborate trap. Yes, not controlled fires, not a backward retreat by Mat through a doorway. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's not that particular fight. I was not even just thinking of that particular fight. I was thinking just in general, I want to see Mat v. the Golem. Spinning the medallion and burning the Golem's face. Oh, yeah. Kalmia and Eris here, they're just having conversations, and since she was mentioned, yes, I agree with this. I really wanted to see the show version of Semirog doing anything at all, 100%. More gray men, too. Yeah, I think that's another shadowspawn. There you go. They could have done some interesting things with the gray men. They did do interesting things with them in season 3, but I think that would have been a cool thing to have weaving throughout the rest of the series. Just because gray men are creepy. They are really, really creepy. Yeah, they explain their power in the show already, but seeing more of them with camera tricks or something could be interesting. Yeah, not sure if there would be much time to make it worth it, though. And speaking of things, yes, Darkhounds. Like I said, I think Darkhounds are worth it because of the way that they balance with the wolves. Okay, Max has a lot of thoughts here. Lord of Chaos. Nynaeve healing Loghain, yes. Especially since they already built that up so much with their prior relationship. I wonder, yeah, as we discussed in the music videos, this is Max. We did our the music breakdown videos. I wonder if it would have landed more in the show, because her healing Loghain in the books, for me, lands on Nynaeve. Like, I don't really care about Loghain being healed. I care about what's happening. Obviously, we're in Nynaeve's perspective as it's happening, but oh my god, I just did it. Like, that's cool. The emotional beat of her healing, like it actually being a miracle. It doesn't feel like a miracle until she heals somebody that I care about, which is Swan. So I wonder, though, because the show has made Loghain an actual character, I still don't love him in the show, though. I wonder. But they definitely had, she was present when he was stilled. So there's some symmetry there. I wonder if it would have felt different. And then the Gathering Storm. Mira Sayal, doing the green dress, especially if there's a moment where she mentions her regrets and reveals that she knew the risks she was subjecting her sister to. But had to stay. Sorry, given what's happened with Adelius in the show, if yes, she might feel personally responsible. But had to stay undercover. Though they've done that thing with the souls upon breaking the oath, so who knows how exactly that would work. Yes, that's true. Because in the show, when Melindra breaks her oath, basically she just loses her soul. I wonder, though, how, there's so much interesting ways they could do it, right? Because in the books, Varen finds a loophole. But she still has to sacrifice herself. So Varen, being as clever as she is, Melindra just did it, right? Varen might have found a way around. I don't know. There's so much possibility there. Again, the juice. There's so much juice. Lord of Chaos, the truly glory Ashraman kill, yes, so that meat grinder, and Perrin throwing up, that's the biggest RJ self-insert of the books, 100%. And the Path of Daggers, anything for Path of Daggers, okay. Although it's not Crossroads. I haven't seen any Crossroads in Twilight of these here. Okay, Path of Daggers is not so bad. The Seanchan campaign, yes, okay, with the extremely Vietnam-style jungle guerrilla tactics and the friendly fire incident, again, second biggest RJ self-insert. Some of Rand's madness, maybe causing harm to his own people. Yes, actually, we do need to see that. We definitely need to see Rand's madness have negative consequences. Although that wasn't so much the madness. I think that was Kalendor, right? That was just Kalendor. But, yes, okay. And then the Fires of Heaven, whether they were building up to Elaine using the balefire against Ravin to avenge her mother's death, and if so, how Rand would be involved or not. Whether she'd stay put for the succession, or if they just repeat beats sending her on another Southwest coastal city fetch quest. Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I never would have, that's another one of those things that I would have missed, because in that's a Nynaeve moment. Nynaeve shows up and burns off Robin's face. Through Moghedien, but she literally burns Robin's face, and then Rand balefires him to nothing. It could be Nynaeve and Elaine. I just very much want Nynaeve. I want more Nynaeve in everything. So, but yes, okay. Max continues here. Whether there was ever a plan for Padan Fain. Okay, I'm just going to stop there. I want to know what the show's plan was with Padan Fain. I can't figure it out. I never could figure it out. I definitely want to see the show continue just to know what's going on with Padan Fain. Because Padan Fain in the books, and I don't think I'm alone in this, I know I'm not alone in this, there's a lot of unrealized potential in his story. He is so creepy and creepy and creepy and creepy and fucky and creepy and we hate him and oh my god, and then he just sort of disappears. Then he comes back and he's Bashadar and he's dead. And it's like, there was other things that could have been done with him, and I don't know if the show would, like, I mean, there's a couple of different directions the show could be going, but I wonder if the show was going, okay, he doesn't really ever come to anything, so we're just going to make him a prominent dark friend. Or if they were going to, like, have him actually realize his character potential. But if they were, then he needs to be doing really more creepy fucky stuff. Like, at this point. Because he's really creepy and fucky. Although he doesn't have the Shadar Logoth blade, so maybe, like, he could get that later. Ugh. Again, now, as I'm talking about it, I'm, like, getting all... Sign the petition. Sign the petition. Send messages to streamers. Send postcards. I've done all of this. You can do it too. There's, again, the juice in this show. Let me finish reading this comment. Oh, sorry, my arm got real weird there. Okay. Whether there was ever a plan for Pat and Fane to converge with the books more and use that to present the idea of the Shadar Logoth evil as Winter's Heart, the anti-matter to the Dark One's matter. Yeah, exactly. Maybe Fail is now fallen from the Dark One's favor. Oh, you could do that. And will no longer have protection from the ruby dagger that has been MIA. He did have it. That's right, he did have it. But he doesn't seem corrupted by it in the way that Matt was. That's right. And will finally start getting more corrupted by it. Was that protection already somewhat compromised? He was able to break Ishi's control during, the Dark Friend Social, that's true. He presumably nailed the door drawl, etc. Yeah, the door drawl, again, one of those scenes, it's iconic in the books, but the reason it happens in the books is to show that there's something different about Pat and Fane. Pat and Fane. But that in the show, he just seems like a prominent dark friend who's like buddy with Ishi, and he wouldn't have been in the book. So I do not know what the show's plan is, and it is definitely something that I want to see more of. And that's it. I'm sure that people are going to write more, especially it always happens after I even post these videos. I think I even saw somebody typing, but I didn't see what they basically hadn't said what they were going to say by the time I got to the last comment there. So, but yeah, there's so much left, so much story left to tell, and it's juicy, and it gets juicier and juicier as we go. So, I want more of this, I really do. The books are always there, though. The books are there, and the books that we love, but I would love to see more of the show. If you would love to see more of the show, again, go to SaveWoT.com. Go there, sign a petition, send your letters, send your messages, let the services know that we want this story. My hope would be Apple Plus. I actually don't have Apple TV Plus right now, so I would get it. I would get it if they picked up Wheel of Time, though. I promise you. Anyway, but yeah, do all that stuff, and let me know in the comments, what are things that you are wanting to see? What are ways that you can think of things being working? Like, how... The biggest one that was a question was how would we get Moraine to a red doorway? How would you work that out? I'm curious. But let me know in the comments below. And if you like my content and you want to support me, I also have a Patreon that is linked in the description below. To my patrons, as always, thank you so much. This is all possible because of you. So thank you so much for your continued support. And with that, I am going to end this here. So please like, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.